what's been your read on this Maple Leafs team? Obviously, a big time victory in Washington on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're finding ways to win. There's like an echo here. I don't like that, but they're as long as I sound fine, I guess
You're
that's
good.
all right. But listen, they're finding ways to win. I mean, you can see Washington, especially last night, they kind of made it close a couple times, and then the Leafs just kind of pulled away late, and that's what good teams do. Hockey's a 60-minute game, sometimes 60 plus, and it takes some time sometimes to push teams out, and they did that yesterday. So, um, yes, they're going to be in playoffs. They're going to have a tough first round matchup. But it doesn't really matter when you get to the playoffs. Every matchup is tough.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that, Willie. Like, this team's been solid, lots of potential, big regular season success, and it just can't find that extra gear in the playoffs. In your experience going deep, what is it around this time of year that you're trying to accomplish to get ready for that day one of playoffs?
Well, I mean, I think everybody talks about that switch, right? Is there a playoff switch? And there has to be. You have to be able to turn it on, because there's just that added little extra effort, that second. That's not the second; it's the third and the fourth effort that happens during playoff time that uh, you have to have, because everyone else on the other side of the bench has it. Everyone tries that little bit extra harder come playoff time, and there's that extra added resilience that the best teams always convey at the best possible times. So the Leafs are capable of doing it. They have very capable players, competitive players, a really good team. Um, it just so happens that they've run into some tough opponents, I would say.
Willie, I've always wanted to interview you and ask you this question. As mentioned, you're widely regarded as one of the more clutch players in NHL history. Do you think that's something you're born with, or do you think it's like a trainable, acquirable type skill?
Uh, well, I guess I think to answer your question, I guess a certain part of it is inborn in your brain, but a lot of it results from the environment that you surround yourself in. I was able to surround myself with really really great leaders, with really really great players, and those guys really helped mold me into the player I wanted to be. But I always had that in me, the I want to be the guy attitude, the not going to be denied attitude, you might be a better player than me, but tonight I'm going to outplay you. And the rest of it doesn't really matter, because playoff time and big moments, you don't have to be great for 82 games. You got to be great every time you get on that ice. And you have to outcompete the other team every time you get on that ice. And just as I alluded to at the start of this, you have to push teams out. And sometimes it takes 4 games, but you got to go into playoff series thinking it's going to be 7.
Sure, Willie. You played with Ovechkin, and we saw a face-off last night. Austin Matthews well on his way to being one of the greats, but Ovi it's probably less of a conversation than it was at the beginning of the year. He's going to be the greatest goal scorer of all time and past Gretzky. When you played with him, what is something that we don't maybe know about Ovi that makes him so damn good at scoring?
I mean, obviously he's perfected the one timer. I think one of the unique things about him, and the way it comes off his stick, because anybody can, I shouldn't say anybody, but a lot of people can pound a one timer. Like in this day and age with the sticks they have nowadays, everybody is just sending one timers, right?
Yeah.
What kind of sets his apart is the release that comes off his stick and the curve that's on his stick. He's got a very unique curve for those that kind of don't know. He doesn't use you'd think Ovechkin, like 240 pounds of just sheer brute strength, would have a 120 flex stick, but he doesn't. He's got like a 95 flex stick, and the curve of it, it's kind of a little bit of an upshoot. Kind of similar in the fact, I don't know if anyone's ever seen John LeClair's stick. but he scored a lot of goals because it was really hard for goalies to read where it was coming off. And Ovi scores in every different position. He scores high glove, he scores low blocker, he scores 5-hole. He seems to find every hole, and I think that's what makes it difficult for goalies is the release and the curve of the stick.
We'll never see a player like that, I think, in the NHL, where it's like more times than not, you know what's coming, you still can't stop it. Like to me, it's still incredible. And this year, it's been a bit harder for Ovi, but like he hammers it on the 1T on the power play, and just like no shot in hell. I felt bad for Joseph Woll last night, but again, I think it was great to get that matchup, Willie. When you have Alex Ovechkin, not that it was a passing the torch type moment, but Austin Matthews, what he's putting together. What have you made of his season? And I know it's a tough question. I know people have been asking it the last couple of days. Can you see a pathway down the road where Matthews is in the same space as Ovechkin and Gretzky in terms of that number of scoring goals?
Well, I think in terms of the numbers, I think
It's tough.
he's gonna be there. Like I don't think there's any doubt he's gonna be there. I mean, what he's done and how he's it seems like all the great goal scorers have a specific way of scoring. Like Ovi's perfected the one timer, and Austin Matthews has perfected the curl and drag, snapshot, release. Right? It's just something different. Everybody tries to replicate it, but nobody can really duplicate it. And I guess just to answer your question, I mean, he's on pace for those same numbers. He does it year over year, and Austin's a very humble, matter of fact, um, focused guy, and I can't see him slowing down. Right now, I'm sure he's just going about his business, scoring his goals, and talking 70 a year past the goalies. But I think it's a conversation that we're really, really going to have in the years to come. He's going to be one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. I don't think there's any doubt.
No. Willie, we talk a lot about Sheldon Keefe and how much he juggles the lines. Like I've never really seen a coach have this much variety in the lineups. I mean, it's I don't even look at it anymore because it's different every single night, and he really has trouble sticking to anything. And you got to think that he's trying to find some chemistry, but it just doesn't happen. From your experience, what is it like for players, especially forwards, who are trying to find something with the line mates, but they're playing with different guys every single night?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I've been on both sides of it. I've been on teams where the bingo balls are out and you're playing with everybody, and then I've been on teams where you're kind of sticking with one centerman for a long period of time. And I think obviously as coaches you have to find that right mix of how your lineup works, but at the same time there is something to be said for some continuity in the fact that I know my centerman, and a lot of times during games, you can find these little plays that let you keep possession because you know where your centerman or your particular winger is going to be. And that lets you keep the puck. And if you keep the puck, you have more chances to score, and the other team doesn't. So um, I think coaches at times sometimes have difficulty staying with something when you go a couple games and it hasn't gone very well. If you had success in the past, you're probably going to have it again at some point. So sticking with it, I think there's something to be said about it. But I'm sure Sheldon is searching for something um, where he can solidify each player's role on that team, and they can be like, okay, this is my job, I'm a third line center, this is what I need to do, or I'm playing in the top six, this is what I need to do, or I'm the fourth liner who's going to go out against the other team's fourth line, and I need to outcompete them. There's a lot of up and down going on in their lineup right now, and I'm sure come playoff time he'll have something more solidified.
Obviously, as you guys know, I mean, it's a business. Tough decisions are made on a daily basis. So TJ Brodie comes out, his resume, his track record, speaks for itself. The Sean Couturier story from earlier this week. How much can that impact a room when a guy who's a prominent name, we'll say in a room, gets health bombed? Did it happen to you in your career?
I did get health bombed once, as you say it. I was in Los Angeles, and it was a playoff game. It was kind of my second year in LA. I just come off an injury. I wasn't as effective as I needed to be out there, and I got healthy scratched, and it was embarrassing, eye-opening, but at the same time, you're able to do some self-reflection on watching the game, and sometimes you lose sight of what makes yourself successful. And there's a reason you've become in the conversation. It's not just that, well, one morning they wake up and say, you know what, TJ Brodie's not playing tonight, or Justin Williams not playing tonight. It's a continuation of a pattern that hasn't resulted in good results, for a better word. So TJ, I think, is a great player, and he's going to be playing come playoff time. And I think he just needs to find it, step back, self-reflect, realize how I can do better, and then do your best job to help the team find that role, right? And he's been kind of thrown in that situation where he's been on the offside, and I know he's comfortable out there, but it's not the easiest position to play.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.